Hey everyone, welcome back to Jesus and Faith. Today we're diving into a question that sparks a lot of curiosity. Was Jesus Jewish or Christian? Now, at first, it sounds simple, but when we look closer, we find that this question takes us deep into history, faith, and identity. So, let's walk through this together, honestly, respectfully, and with an open heart. Let's start from the beginning. Jesus was born over 2,000 years ago in Bethlehem, a small town in ancient Judea, a region under Roman rule. And yes, Jesus was born Jewish, raised Jewish, and lived his entire earthly life as a Jewish man. His parents, Mary and Joseph, followed Jewish customs. He was circumcised on the 8th day, just as Jewish law required. He went to the synagogue. He celebrated Jewish festivals, Passover, Hanukkah, and the Sabbath. He quoted from the Hebrew scriptures, what Christians now call the Old Testament, and he taught directly from Jewish law and tradition. Even the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, show Jesus reading from the scroll of Isaiah, praying in Hebrew, and speaking to Jewish teachers in the temple. So there's no doubt about it. Jesus was Jewish. That's what history, archaeology, and even scholars from both Christian and Jewish backgrounds agree on. Now, here's where things get interesting. When Jesus walked the earth, there was no religion called Christianity. There were Jews, and among them, different groups, like the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes. Jesus wasn't trying to start a new religion. He was calling people back to the heart of their faith, to love God and to love others. He taught compassion over ritual, forgiveness over judgment, and relationship over religion. But after Jesus was crucified, something powerful happened. His followers, who were also Jewish, began preaching that he had risen from the dead. They believed he was the long-awaited Messiah, the Christ, which means the Anointed One. That word Christ is actually the Greek translation of the Hebrew word Messiah, and that's where the word Christian comes from. It literally means followers of Christ. The first Christians were, in fact, Jewish followers of Jesus. It was only years later that Gentiles, non-Jewish believers, began joining the movement, and Christianity gradually became its own separate faith. So, was Jesus a Christian? Well, not exactly. You see, Christianity was built around Jesus, but Jesus himself practiced Judaism. He didn't attend church. He went to the synagogue. He didn't celebrate Christmas or Easter. Those came centuries later. He celebrated Jewish feasts and prayed using Jewish prayers. But his teachings, his message of forgiveness, mercy, and salvation became the foundation of Christianity. So while Jesus was not a Christian, Christianity was and is entirely built around him. It's like this. You can't say Abraham was a Jew in the modern sense because Judaism came from his faith. In the same way, Jesus wasn't a Christian, but Christianity came from him. Now, why does this question even matter? Because understanding that Jesus was Jewish helps us understand his message better. It reminds us that faith didn't begin with division, it began with connection. It began with a man who loved God deeply and wanted to bring people back to truth, love, and grace. It also reminds us that Christianity didn't erase Judaism, it grew from it. The Old Testament and New Testament aren't separate stories, they're part of one continuous plan of God's love for humanity. So, to sum it up, Jesus was born a Jew, lived as a Jew, and his followers, inspired by his life, death, and resurrection, became the first Christians. He was Jewish by faith and the foundation of Christianity by mission. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of all, that God's plan can bridge faiths, history, and hearts. Thanks for joining me today on Jesus and Faith. If this message gave you something to think about, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who's curious about faith and history. Until next time, keep believing, keep learning, and keep walking in faith. God bless you.